Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Bills Roundtable, live Mondays and Thursdays each and every single week. Apologies for not making it on Monday. A lot of you are probably thinking that we avoided it based off of the embarrassment that we all felt after the Miami game on Sunday. Had some scheduling conflicts. Don't worry, we're going to address the Miami game briefly, but we have more business to tackle afterwards because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming into town. Kev, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
You know, it's just another day in paradise. And if you really look at what's going on with the Buffalo Bills, there's a lot of similarities to many years of this team. And a lot of talk right now makes me feel like the team is actually 3-6.
Yeah, I know.
And that's, you lose to the Dolphins, and I guess that's what happens. You got to feel that way. Jets win, Dolphins win, Patriots win. You kind of feel like it's 10 years ago.
Yeah. So I kind of had this conversation with somebody last week, or like directly after this Miami Dolphins loss. Does this feel at all similar to the same feeling you had when we went 6-6 in 2023? Or does this feel different to you?
It's the same. I actually think they're in a better position than in 2023. And Josh Allen himself said so in 2023. In 2021, they were 7-6, right? After the Bucs loss. So you're 6-3. You have some winnable games. You have a pretty banged up Buccaneers team at home where you generally win. And you have you have the Texans without a quarterback currently, who's still having symptoms from his concussion. Their defense is good, but you're going to get Davis Mills maybe. And then you're going to have a litany of games that the Steelers aren't as good as there's games here that they should rail off. I guess the argument would be, well, they lost to the Dolphins. They could lose to anyone. Dolphins, once again, we saw one of those game plans where Mike McDaniel's rolling by the elbow room and trolling fans and putting together his I'm going to stay here forever game plan. And Josh Allen played bad. They started using the heat again and a couple of the other excuses, a lot of injuries. Their defensive line is down 5 players on IR. But the good news is I thought they held people out last week. I even tweeted it. I said, this looks like a roster that almost you're treating like a preseason game. And I'm sorry, these teams are at starting potential. These teams are just too good. Even the worst ones, even the Jets, they're just too good for you to just rest a majority of your starting level players. And I thought they sat too many players last week. So ultimately, I'm expecting a full roster. I'm expecting some changes. I'm expecting Gabe Davis. Will we see Mecole Hardman? Will we see Josh Palmer? I'm expecting a completely different, energized roster and a pretty good opponent on the fold that I think we can get some help tonight if the Jets show up and do something. But
oh my God,
that would be super nice if Breece Hall just takes over.
And just goes crazy against this run defense. So I've been telling Richie, I'm like, Richie, I don't think that you have a snowball's chance in hell, but by God, if you can pull it off, you will hear me scream out the loudest Jets.
Does Richie want to win though? Like at this stage, they've had a couple wins. Like now
he does.
Your draft position. Okay. All right.
Yeah. He does. He's one of those fans where he can't bring himself to ever root for his team to lose ever. So his preference is by some odd miracle that like he wakes up and there's an entire new squad and they go on a 10-game win streak and squeeze into the playoffs. Like that's like his energy right now.
Okay.
Yeah. He's looking for it.
You rail off 10 in a row, you may make the playoffs.
Yeah. It's likely not going to happen. I hate the matchup for the Jets. One thing I do know is that just taking the under on Justin Fields' passing yards is all but a lock. That much I can tell you, especially with the wind like being a factor this evening. Unless he plays Cincinnati, when he can go off to about 240 yards. But I obviously want to talk about this Tampa Bay Buccaneers matchup, but I do feel like we do kind of need to diagnose exactly what is wrong with this offense. And Kev, again, like all I hear is like wide receivers aren't getting separation.
It's cope.
But it's dumb. It's dumb, man. Like literally, like I have been pulling up NFL Pro and I've looked up every single time that Josh Allen has been sacked this year. Small percentage. Nobody was open. And we saw it a lot in Miami where he's literally saying no to guys. Like there was one specific play, I think Chris Trapasso brought it up or somebody else brought it up. I forgot. But one specific play was in the first quarter, 2nd and 8, stares down a wide open Khalil Shakir, who is the second best yak receiver in the NFL, says no to that. Curtis Samuel was wide open on the slant right up in the middle of the field. And then he throws it on his third read to James Cook for a loss of 4 behind the line of scrimmage. And that's all over. Like, that's all over. Like, what's gotten into him, you think? Because I really believe, like, maybe you could say it's play calling, but he's really not taking what the defense gave him. And he did that last year.
He's not taking the cheddar, right? He's not taking the profit. And when you look at it, 10 to 12 of his sacks have been on third down. It doesn't look like he's breaking contain when needed. Like, we can copium all we want and say, like, God, if we had Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, like, let's pick the best receivers in the league and put them on the Bills. Like, I would expect look at Joe Flacco. I would expect any quarterback to play better when that's how they asset allocate. And if you look at it, like, dude, we can say he has a team-friendly deal. Next year, it counts $60 million on the cap. So you're doing two things. You're going to push that out and then have to push out money like Dawson Knox. So the thing that I've heard, Dan, is look at the salary cap of Dawson Knox, or just using him as an example. You know why the Bills have to do that? Because they have to pay players like Josh Allen. So they have to find somebody to maneuver their cap around to push money down the road, someone that they think will be on the roster, and eventually you're going to come due. Like, Dawson Knox is taking pay cuts to stay here and be a tight end too. A tight end 1B, whatever you want to call it. Look, Josh Allen needs to find his profits. I had a profit on Shakir at one point throughout the game. I had Shakir on the interception down at the goal line he should have thrown. He also missed Keon Coleman on what he was being held and still probably wins that rep. That's why you drafted him. I'm fine with him one-on-one coverage against Juju Brents. You need to throw the ball there. Juju Brents was holding him. You probably get the call, and if not, I think he catches it. Also, you had Shavers in the back of the end zone on a deep end. Got to throw the ball. Like, you can do anything you want, but miss the coverage guy that was covering Dawson Knox and short arm it. So ultimately, like, you're having red zone interceptions. Yes, he's making plays on a touch push basically, but with 4 guys on him at some point, like, dude, it's not even about the yards. I don't want you getting hurt either. Like, just go down. Like, so between those situations, like, you have a litany of things that all they needed to do was be tweaked. And I think he just got bored and was like, I'm going to Miami. I'm going for my yearly B-town.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see if I can get some crazy deep throws. I'm going to try to make some plays. And the next thing you know, they're running base defense on first down, and they're running confusing coverages that Josh Allen wasn't expecting to have to see. He's just expecting to go in there, first down, run for 10 yards, make a deep throw. That was the kind of game he was expecting. You got the rain, you got some conditions. The next thing you know, you're fumbling. James Cook's fumbling, and you're down 10 or 16, and you have to make those decisions. And I think the quarterback needs to play well. We've seen this in stretches with Josh. He's 16th in the league in CPOE plus EPA per play, combined it as a stat. He's playing mediocre football right now.
Yeah, it's not even like he's missing the guys. Like, he's staring them down, and he's saying, "Nah." He's saying, actually, and so that matchup in triple coverage, 30 yards downfield, looks a hell of a lot better to me right now. Like, that's what it was.
Last game for sure. He said that against the Dolphins and said, I'm reading Twitter, I'm reading Instagram, I'm reading Facebook, I'm reading the news media that we don't have a passing game. I'm going to show you against Miami that we do.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we are able to get back to the drawing board against this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. And you know what? I do find it interesting because I do think that their defense is somewhat similar to the DNA of what we saw versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I really think that there's a lot of opportunities attacking the linebackers here. Hopefully Khalil Shakir is healthy. He's dealing with like some rib injury. He's been limited for the past 2 days, but this team defensively, quality corners on the perimeter in Zion McCollum and Jamel Dean. I'm not so much concerned about who's going to be lined up on the outside. Maybe it's Gabe Davis. I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe he's going to be getting some reps. Maybe it's going to be Josh Palmer too. I'm kind of curious to see how much he is ramped up going into his first game back. But what I would like to see from this team is a lot of Khalil Shakir, because not only is he the second best wide receiver in all of YAC, this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team has allowed 1,200 yards after the catch. 1,200. Third worst in the NFL. So you would assume that, like, your game plan would be Shakir, and then also ultimately end up utilizing James Cook as well, because they're also quite awful at stopping running backs in the pass game. I'm seeing Brady start to pepper him in a little bit, like throughout the past couple of games. He's finally starting to make that a thing. But starting off with his Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, and then we'll transition over to Baker and what that could potentially bring. What do you think the plan is for Buffalo going up right against this Todd Bowles defense?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's yak. You kind of already hit on it, and I think they struggle with it. And, you run in a lot of zone defense. That's what you're going to struggle with, generally speaking, in some zones. You're going to struggle with yak, because if you make a play, there's usually room to be had. So I think it's going to be a yak-based offense, something that they want to do anyways. They built their team on yak and rack. They were sick of having to rely on four verts, and we got sick of it throughout the Dable and Dorsey years. And they developed a running game, and they developed a yak rack offense. So you're going to see the energy to beat a yak and rack. You're going to run double China, which is 2 in routes. At the same time, run right behind the other, and you're going to look for windows, and you're going to look to get behind linebackers or in front of the second level. So in my opinion, you're going to need to have guys miss, and then you're going to be able to scramble around a little bit and hope for guys like Gabe Davis now being able to be on the same page with Josh Allen deep down the field. I mean, unfortunately, you're probably going to have guys like most likely Samuel and most likely Shavers probably going to get the inactive. If I was to make a random assumption, but I think you're going to see guys like, Mecole Hardman play. You don't give first team reps in practice on a game week. This isn't training camp, on a game week to a guy you're not going to play. It's possible they're just trying to ramp him up quick, but you don't generally give away important reps against game reps. He's usually would be on the scout team if you didn't expect to play him. So maybe he's only getting a jersey to kick return, punt return, but Mecole Hardman could be another dynamic, at least on a limited basis this week, which I wouldn't be shocked where Mecole Hardman's not coming up, signing a contract to the practice squad to not play. It's possible he needs another week or two, but you don't use those important reps in practice. He was in a rep jersey, in my opinion, which means you are getting in the game plan. So it's interesting to see if they'll actually activate him, and if not, it will be soon, or just for returns. But they're going to have a completely different offense with Palmer, possibly Mecole Hardman. Feeling pretty good about Gabe Davis, and ultimately, I think that's going to be the way to attack this Tampa Bay Bucks. You need the rack, you need the yak, and I think Josh has got to take the profit, because this team will give you the profit, and you have room after the catch too.
So with Hardman as well, you would assume that that's going to be the end of Codrington, since his roster spot makes no sense. Like right now, makes absolutely zero sense.
Yeah, he's done.
But my question becomes, who's the wide receiver out if Gabe Davis is elevated? I'm curious if they are going to exhaust his 3 call-ups from the practice squad right before they just say, all right, we're signing this guy.
Yeah.
And if so, who's gone?
They will exhaust the 3 call-ups, similar to Poyer, unless there's injuries that happen and Poyer got the signing. They will use the 3 call-ups, just like Jordan Phillips. It's definitely the energy for both of those guys, Mecole Hardman, and they're just going to call him up because you don't have to make roster moves. They do have an open roster spot right now. It's definitely going to go to TJ Sanders, but you could also, Fedarius Mathis is hurt. You don't really need him anymore with Sanders coming back. Sanders' knee scope was preventative from what I was told, and it was something they could have probably played on, but the Bills were getting healthy at the D-line. Go figure, go laugh. And they said, let's put him through it now in case we need him late in the year. And that's what happened. Now he's going to come back more explosive and not playing compromised. So at least they're going to get him back. I think with that, the whole rant there is you can release Fedarius Mathis, and there's a roster spot there. And are you that sold that you need to have Shavers on the active roster? I don't know. I don't know if they feel like he's going to get claimed at this point in the year. I mean, I guess you got teams like the Jets IRing Garrett Wilson, not trading him and IRing him, and all kinds of goofy things going on. I guess there's someone that could claim a special teams big receiver. It's possible. But you could waive him. You're going to waive Codrington. But right now, you could, at least for now, you could just call up Gabe and as long as you don't need the other call-ups, which you shouldn't at any other position groups look good, you could call up Gabe, you could call up Mecole, and see how everything goes together, and then make your decision in 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks from now. Especially with the game on Thursday, they're going to be able to game plan specific, and you're going to be able to have a guy like a fresh guy like Mecole Hardman ready to go in back-to-back games 10 days apart.
Strangely enough, I'm not all that concerned about this Tampa Bay Buccaneers matchup as much as I am concerned about the Houston Texans matchup on Thursday. And so I think that defense is going to cause a lot of problems for us in Houston. And so on Thursday, all I could think about is last year on Thursday Night Football. Where
the only benefit is they're out tight ends, they're out quarterbacks, they're out running backs, they're out O-linemen. Like,
yeah, what's the deal with CJ Stroud? He's in concussion protocol?
He's in concussion protocol, still hasn't practiced, still having symptoms. So it's possible that randomly tomorrow he doesn't have symptoms. You need about a week to clear protocol, and that would be starting today, which they play a week from today, don't forget. So it's possible this weekend he feels better and they're rushing through the process and he plays. I think he's probably more accurate for the game after the Bills. And I ultimately think that they won, and they think that Mills came back against Jacksonville. If they beat the Titans, I'm not sure they go to Stroud yet. I don't know. I don't know if that's part of it or not, but you need generally about a week to clear. He's not even through the first stage. So
nice.
Unless he's cleared somehow tomorrow to practice and can get through the steps, and I think that's likely. But you would need to see something from him like ASAP if he's going to.
Got it.
So, Dan, you're going to get a minor Texans offense with like Nico Collins. That's their entire team.
All right. Well, hey, you know what? Well, maybe I feel a bit better about that.
But yeah, I agree with you. The defense can get them the ball back.
Yeah.
I guess similar to the Falcons, the difference was the Falcons had two premier playmakers, even just for a half, that were able to get it done. But another bad game by the Bills offense. Like ultimately, I think the Bills will find some running room on the Texans, and I think they'll feel pretty good about how to win that game, especially with a limited offense. But you're right. Like the Buccaneers game is important. It's at home. Just you do lose back-to-back. They never lose back-to-back in the same season. It doesn't happen a ton. I just feel pretty good that the game's here. They have to travel up here. They've only played 2 games in the last 5 to 6 years in under 40 degrees. It just outdoors. It just doesn't happen much for them. I think it's under 50, excuse me. So they kind of have that Tua philosophy going. We'll see how this all plays out. Also missing Bucky Irving. We'll see if he plays in Chris Godwin. I mean, it's a winnable matchup in a team that really didn't look great against the Patriots. They really didn't. They didn't look great. I watched the film. They did not look good against the Patriots.
And so I saw both of them were limited, I believe, for the past 2 days.
Yeah, I mean they're barely jogging. Like, look, it's no different than like when the Bills take 2 weeks to get a limited guy out there. Josh Allen took 3. It was told that Bucky Irving can't take a hit at the moment. So I think they want to get his cardio back, but he can't take a hit on the shoulder. They said it's worse, which is what he was originally out with. And Chris Godwin from a nasty ankle tibula injury.
And so especially why waste those guys against an AFC opponent too, especially when the division is still really anybody's game.
Yeah.
And say that
they still should walk with the division. I mean, you got the Panthers losing to the Saints. I mean, you got the Falcons losing every game.
Have the Panthers playing the Falcons this week. Like, we'll see what happens there. Maybe the Falcons can make it interesting.
You got the Rams next week in the Buccaneers case, so we'll see how this all plays out.
Got it. But sticking with that defense, like we've already outlined what I think Buffalo could do well against them and some like weaknesses that they could exploit. How do you think we can run against this team? Because they're kind of like not as good as some of the run defenses we've played, but they're still like top 10 in like EPA and DVOA. So is this a game where you think that we're going to be focusing a bit more on the pass game, or still going to be seeing a relatively well-balanced attack? And if so, how do you get James Cook going?
Yeah, I'm just going to break tendency a little bit, some tendency beaters, and I'm going to do different things where, if Josh is under center, they historically have ran, right? Isn't that the number one thing that we're saying is like, if we see certain personnel packages, I'm going to do goofy. I'm probably going to run out of 11. I'm going to spread them out and run out of 11 personnel. I'm going to, not run on first down. Maybe I'm running in second down now. The Bills don't run on second down that much. They run the league most on first down. But the funny part about the Bills running the most on first down is everyone hates it because they pass only 36% of the time. The best part, they're like 5th in efficiency on first down. So although it banged them in Miami, that game was just weird from many avenues. By and large part, they are getting into second and medium second and shorts that they can then, pass. So I think you could break tendency here. Maybe you're going to run out of 11 on second down. You're going to do things like that after we're kind of trying to chew them up with the short passing game. Then you hit them with an 11 personnel run. I think you're looking at different ways to beat outside zone here because they run a cover 3. They're a cover 3 team. So really we're trying to get those linebackers backed up, and we're going to hit them with an outside zone, pin and pull, probably a little duo there to get to the next level. So ultimately, I think there's room here. They're able to defend teams differently, but Josh Allen presents a challenge for teams, generally speaking, that I'm pretty excited about the options of outside zone here in this game on second down and 11 personnel.
Since QB1 is a vet, I really hope he looked back on this past Sunday and recognizes that Todd Bowles is going to be doing all of these simulated pressures that he saw on Sunday. He's going to be doing all of these disguise coverages.
Take that profit, baby. If he does, even better, because he's seen this all from Bowles.
Yeah. So I'm really hoping that he recognizes and knows it's coming. So we'll see. And a lot of respect at Bowles, because he's one of the best in the business for doing this. Last week with Drake May was just making some really good throws and was not fooled for the most part. So super excited there. Shifting over, Baker Mayfield. All right. Big fan of Baker. And so I always have been a big fan of Baker Mayfield. Injury riddled offense though. Absolutely awful. Mike Evans is gone. Chris Godwin, Bucky Irving, more than likely not. So you are going to be asked to run this offense through a rookie in Emeka Egbuka, who's a stud. He's definitely the best rookie wide receiver thus far this year. And then Tez Johnson on the outside, a 7th rounder. Cade Otton as well, tight end, who a lot of people claim to be slept on. This team is not the same since they have gone through these first 4 weeks. Top 5 EPA, weeks 1 through 4, weeks 6 through 10, 25th. Very difficult time moving the football right now. And all in all, I'm not sure if you thought this as well. Really, outside of a couple of crazy fourth quarter comebacks from Baker toward the beginning of the season, I always thought that their offense was kind of meh right to begin with. I think that they kind of struggle holding everything around it. And I've kind of been looking into it, and I really want this Buffalo Bills defense to run a pretty similar game plan against Tampa Bay that they did against Kansas City. Run man coverage. Run man coverage against Baker Mayfield. His efficiency completely plummets. His completion percentage is awful. He dices up zone coverage. Reminds me a lot of what we were expecting from Patrick Mahomes. Like you mentioned on Twitter with Baker Mayfield, he's not good against the blitz. I think that is the game plan for this defense. Don't have to worry about Bucky Irving going out there. I trust this run defense to, for the love of God, hopefully be able to contain their fringe RB2s and RB3s. But that's kind of where I'm at. I'd like to see Maxwell Harrison against Emeka Egbuka. Maybe you would prefer Christian Benford against Egbuka and then put Max against that. But I like a lot of the matchups that we present. I'm really not seeing a lot based off of their available players. That's really making me concerned about this defense right now.
Yeah, for sure. It's, I guess, similar. It's kind of weird. It's kind of similar-ish to the next game. The Texans are a little different. The Texans' offense is going to be a little worse than the Bucs for sure, but their defense is a little better. So it's kind of a very similar approach, though, to where if we're not able to win at home against a fairly, we're equally kind of beaten up in some ways against a Bucs team, and then you can't go on the road in a dome indoors against possibly a backup quarterback and a pretty poor offense. I don't know what we're even talking about here. So there's games you drop to the Dolphins, but that doesn't mean, and you drop to the Falcons. It sucks. It's not looking good. It's just like losing to the Broncos a few years ago when they were bad. So
yeah,
ultimately but that's not indicative of how you went and beat the Chiefs, who still are going to win their division. How you went and beat the Ravens and came back. They're still going to win their division. What's the theme here? We kind of step back and said, let's try to play this game quick and easy and run the ball on first and just get out of there, come back home and take care of business. And it's football. Unfortunately, a couple turnovers later, and the next thing you know, the game plan wasn't written to be in a barn burner or be down. More importantly, they probably was written to be 7-7 or something. It wasn't really written to be down 16. And that happens pretty quick, but we can't really say. They could come out and run the same offense that they generally do and run on first down and say, you know what, we're better than most. And Dolphins just got, in their world, the Dolphins just got lucky. This is a 60-minute game. Anything can happen. Even the Jets could win tonight. So that could be the approach they take and say they get paid too. And unfortunately, we didn't execute, but the game plan was good. So Josh Allen, if he executes, it's a different football game though. So that's going to be their counter to saying we don't need to change everything up. Generally speaking, your MVP quarterback executes, and he's going to find Shakir on the in breaking routes, on the China routes, or on the orbit motion down at the goal line. Like you're expecting that. You're not going to see that Dolphins performance from an MVP in back-to-back weeks. It just hasn't happened.
Yeah. It's just frustrating. Like when we talk about like, oh no, it's not separation. Like what we have can win in division, can compete in the playoffs. And people's like number one response is, oh, like, we just don't have a wide receiver number one. All right. And like QB1's not captain check down. And what I like saying is, look, this is not helpful because we cannot address that anymore. Like this trade deadline is over with. Nobody is coming off of the couch to save us. We are not going to be able to convince Michael Thomas to come out of quasi-retirement, all right, and just be his 2019 self. What Josh needs to do is he needs to be a veteran, and he needs to take what the defense gives him. Oh, he's not captain checkdown. How do you think we even got the downfield stuff open in the first place against Kansas City a couple of weeks ago? It was by taking what the defense gave you. And then once defenses adjust, that's when things downfield open. One thing I probably could put on him too, and I wonder, like, it's got to be Josh, right? Because when you look at the most deep targets out of any wide receiver we've had so far this year, it's Keon Coleman, right? And from a fan perspective, we're just like, oh man, why is he the guy? It's Josh's decision to throw him the ball, right? Like for the most part, it's his decision to throw him the football. I wonder if we start to see a regression in his overall targets and you start sort of trying to implement like Palmer once he's back. God forbid, like I was just going deep into a rabbit hole, like trying to see what Shakir looked like on the outside as far as efficiency was concerned and put Keon out of the slot for a couple of times. But like thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that QB1, it's more than ever, like definitely wanted him. Like, I really do feel that way. I really do think he gave his input on the style of receiver. He thought he had guys like Samuel and Shakir. And he had that kind of that style covered. The problem that I have is there's a lot of guys. That draft is not looking as good as it once was. Like you have Worthy that's getting kind of called out by Reed. You have A.D. Mitchell already traded. I mean, you had Brian Thomas on the market, which is super weird.
Except for our boy Lad McConkey, though.
Right. I remember coming on the Don Mafia report telling you, like, he's the guy. He's the number one pick. He should go higher than he's going just because for some reason people think he's short. I don't know. For some reason, he's being talked about at the end of the first, early second. He was all day a top 20 pick.
Dan, he's a slot. Kev, he's a slot. Kev.
The number one slot receiver in an important position, like him and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and maybe like you could put Khalil Shakir like third or fourth there. So like I do get it, but I was always here's my counter. Who cares about the redundancy? Do you want Lad McConkey and Khalil Shakir on the field at the same time or not? Like that will stress they don't have the ability to cover them both. You can run different 3-by-1 personnel formations. You can run all type of different things to get two guys in the slot and then add in Kincaid. And how are you covering all those options in the middle of the field? Yeah. People are like, no, they need the big boundary. That's what they got. And unfortunately, if you're going to have the big boundary, win on an X route in the red zone against Juju Brents, you need to throw the crossing route. You need to look that way. And at the very least, you get first and goal on the one, totally different football game. You cannot then look for a zone beater on the other side in man coverage. So they both had a high-low concepts on the other side of the field with Dawson Knox and Terrell Shavers. Is going to take a little bit longer to develop. Throw some air under and see if Shavers can make a play. But you passed up the cover zero option, which is in the middle of the field to Keon Coleman. You didn't throw it. So ultimately, not sure. But he won that rep, another touchdown, maybe ended the day with 2 touchdowns, couple, 60, 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. I don't mind his development. People are just hoping that he's Jamar Chase or I guess, whatever you want, more like DK Metcalf, I guess, or George Pickens at this stage. I wish he was a little bit further along and didn't have like a quarter benching this year. But other than that, like I don't hate his progression as a receiver too, because there's some metrics that say beside the random separation from fantasy data, or for fantasypoints.com. Other than that, there's some good separation. Dana PFF separation score still thinks he's pretty high. And also like his other metrics are like a receiver 2 numbers, like yes, I want a receiver one. I want a top 20 guy. He's more like 40. It just is what it is. And I don't know why we're docking someone for being a receiver two. Like, that's just what he is. Like, that's what we wanted for all these years. We get a receiver two, and then everyone's like, oh, what about the receiver one? I guess.
And so the biggest problem with the Bills going into that draft class was somebody that could come down like with a contested catch.
Yeah.
So their heart was in the right place, right? Like, no one thought that Diggs was going to force his way out.
I think it would be Diggs and Coleman on the outside. I really do, and Shakir in the set. Shakir and Kincaid in the middle. That's what they thought. That's what they thought.
And that's, I mean, where we thought
you don't trade in April for a future second round pick without a guy wanting to go to Houston to play with CJ Stroud on a rookie contract.
So we're like scrolling through Twitter, man, and there are a lot of people with profile pictures that have Joe Brady's face and a big cross over it, right? And people were like, oh my God, we got to bring back Brian Dable. Oh my God, we got to bring that guy back. And
well, apparently he has workplace abuse, so definitely not bringing that guy back.
All right. Well, so I saw that he yelled at an offensive coordinator, and he said that he was threatening to take play calls away. So did he get physical with him allegedly?
I don't want to allegedly speculate on what they're saying, but apparently one player recently told ESPN of Dable's exploding and threatening to take away play calling from assistant head coach, offensive coordinator Mike Kafka, and tight ends coach Theo Johnson. Dropped a crucial third down pass against the Eagles, and then created a toxic workplace environment. So I don't know of any physical at this stage, but I haven't totally dove into what has happened there. And all because he yelled at Josh Allen is like what people like, somehow people thought that that's what they want. Like, cause he would yell at him on the sideline. They think that's good. Actually, it's coming out that the stuff's not good. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, I know it's football, but like at some point you can create a toxic work environment by like just degrading people.
And so one thing I always like pointing out too is sure. We could bring Dable back this year as a consultant, and then maybe Brady gets fired and he gets, sort of elevated as an interim offensive coordinator and stuff like that. But like, you are going to kiss any semblance of a run game that we have goodbye. So we are going to completely see a significant downturn.
How easy we forget that we were 7-6 losing to the Bucs in a pretty good game and couldn't run the ball at all and needed Josh to put on a cape and probably just like this year, maybe where we were like, he's not returning anyways. If he takes a head coaching job or not, like we weren't sure that he was returning because there were now ifs with McDermott, and it was all McDermott's fault. But maybe this
funny how fault shifts. You know what I mean? Like
this news was trickling out a couple of years ago with this detention of how he coaches, and then now it's for sure like how weird some of this stuff is. So maybe he belongs in college or something. I don't know. But at this stage, no run concepts. We had Devin Singletary. We had Josh putting on a cape, and I guess it looked cooler to some people, but so did Dorsey. Dorsey's offense looked cool too. It got stopped though at times. It got stopped bad. Dorsey ran the offense, the air raid, 4 verts, the deep intermediate throws, all types of different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you hear a lot of his criticism, right? From your perspective, as far as the percentage of faults for like this offense's inconsistencies this year, how much do you put on the play calling truly, and how much do you put on Josh?
I mean, there's always an equal split. Like nothing's ever 100% one way or the other. And what I like to say though is like, I'm also not a cop-out guy like that. I hate one of the worst terms I hate is 2 things can be true. Well, yes, 2 things can be true with anything.
It's more like 8 things. Yeah,
like 15 things can be true, but people are asking what is the most likely or the higher probability thing happening. Not oh my God, like 15 things can be going on at the same time. Like, of course they can. But I think what people are trying to figure out is like, what's the most important thing going on, or the highest probability, or the thing that's affecting the team the most. Like, you need to be on the same page. I don't hate the play calling by the coach. I really don't. The offense is efficient. You have the number 1 or 2 offensive line in the league. You had the number 1 running game. You had the top 3 running back. Like, these are things like, how do we elongate this guy's window longer than 3 years jumping over Eric Reed? Like, how do we, or Budda Baker, how do we elongate his career? This was how, and we're seeing it this year where he's not breaking away as much. Like on that interception, he had missed Keon Coleman and also had a running lane. Like, and he's been getting got at the line of scrimmage a little bit too much. Like I said, 12 of his sacks on third down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have to put blame on. You can change out you can go to the fourth offensive coordinator with Josh Allen. One was obviously hired as a head coach, but we can go to our fourth offensive coordinator. We can change out our head coach if we want. We can go to a second and third GM, would be second in our case. Like at some point, like needs to execute with the fifth offensive coordinator. Like he needs to see the cheddar that's being getting. It's not going to change the defense. The defense is still going to run what they think is going to affect Josh Allen. They're going to maybe run a cover 3 or put him in zone at 10% higher of a rate than they have ever in his career. Like at some point, like, yes, I guess you could give him Ben Johnson or whoever you would consider Andy Reid. Like, and you would think that maybe he's in better position, but he's got to execute. Like, ultimately, the one thing that happens when you change the offensive coordinator, still got the same quarterback. So now you're going to have to design something where he's being effective, and that quarterback is making $60 million against the cap, MVP numbers, and rightfully so. But like that's going to affect how you can go get a receiver one. You win football games, and you're making $60 million against the cap. I'm not exactly, and Bean has referenced this, and WGR probably ran wild with it. Like you're not going to be where Garrett Wilson's getting drafted or Jamar Chase. So the end of the first round is one of the hardest range to draft in because like the first round picks are gone, baby. They're gone. And every year it's 20 to 25 first round picks. So now you're just having multiple seconds and it's a tough range. So everyone's like, well, trade the first for Jalen Waddle, Dan. I don't buy that report at all. You think that Brandon Beane said, you know what? The 2026 one, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to give you the 2027 one in the 3, but I'm not going to make my team better. Come on. That was such a report out of Miami. It's not even funny to justify like how much they wanted for their key player.
Yeah. It's definitely intriguing, right? Because like with Joe Brady, like sure, you'll look at that play action on 4th and 1 where they tried faking out the tush push as like one of those things where it's like, okay, like what was he thinking there, right? And then sometimes I think like he like has some questionable calls situationally. Like funny enough, and I'm pretty sure you pointed this out last episode, we're really good at running the screen. Like we're good. Like we're good at running the screen.
It's misleading. We've been bad.
Yeah.
The one thing Brady did.
Yeah, we have been bad.
Josh Allen's bad at it, and he was, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And this year, I think it's 2 in EPA, second in EPA.
Yeah. So it's
and
solid.
He's running motion that everybody asked for.
Yeah. Maybe it's like situationally, like 3rd and 10 screens. You're like, like maybe that's a head scratcher, but for the most part, it's an efficient play. And it's something that I think is always going to be here. Like the jet sweeps. I mean, maybe that's half of the reason Mecole Hardman's over here because Brady wants to make that work, right? Like he wants to make it work, man. We have Hardman. Can you make it work for us? But something that's even more interesting too is like we're seeing defenses run a hell of a lot more zone against Josh Allen this year. Has this been something that he struggled with in his career? Because like when you end up looking at how good he was last year against man, now that defenses are upticking zone, I always kind of thought that like he was like smack dab in the middle and he was always pretty equally efficient. So against both coverages.
He's always been great against man coverage. Like always super good against it. So teams are like, well, let's just do the other thing then. And he's always been good.
It just took him that long.
Yeah. Like he's always been good at zone. Let's make him take the profit. And you see the Chiefs game and he takes the profit and he wins and he has a big win. People think that you can make him bored or you can make him big play hunt or you can make him be Josh Allen at some point. And the Bills have kept it clean. They've kept his completion percentage up. They've kept him taking the profit and running the ball. That's boring. They think that you can bore these MVP play style players, whether it's Mahomes, Allen, Jackson to some degree. They think you can bore some of these guys to death at some point. And that's they'd rather you just go ahead and dink and dunk them. Like, look at the Bills went down the whole field to start the third quarter. The entire drive and possessed the ball, did really well, and then threw a turnover at the end. You needed too many plays, and you took too much time off the clock. That is the game plan to beat Josh Allen. You can't do that every game. You cannot do that every game. However, you do get the opportunity occasionally to win like that. So they did it. got the turnover, got the 3 huge turnovers, basically all in Miami territory. And then all their running yards and really all their points, really, let's be honest, after like 19 or 20 came at the end when the game was over. You're running Devin Achane at the end at under 6 minutes.
Yeah. Half speed. I'm sure all the spirit was sucked out of the defense at that point.
At that point, you kept turning it over. You weren't able to convert on 4th downs. Like things I just don't like. You need all those things to compile to beat the Bills, and being by 2 scores, you need like all of those things to happen, and they did. So that's what happened. Josh didn't want to take the profit. The guys you're mentioning that you mentioned him not wanting to just be like, nope. You need the turnovers. You need the long drives. You need some version of not converting on 4th downs, and then some running elements and some things that are, red face Josh or whatever. You need all those things to go right, and you did, and that's how you win against Josh Allen. But you don't get that much at this stage to get all those boxes checked.
So you heard it here first, folks. Sounds like defensive coordinators are trying to bore the hell out of Josh Allen, 100%. And he just says, screw it. He says,
I don't want to hear again on 4 yards, and I have to read everybody talking about how all I can do is be Trent Edwards.
That's what I'm talking about. Folks, we need to give a giant shout out to one of our proud partners over on the Bills Roundtable. Just so happens to be Picasso's Pizza. Shout out to Picasso's Pizza, #1 pizza in Western New York, 4 great locations, and they are delivering nationwide. If you are displaced from Western New York and you miss a taste of home, certainly go to their website, picassospizza.net, and hit this nationwide button, and they will deliver pizza to your front doorstep, regardless of where you're located within the continental United States. Shout out to Picasso's Pizza for being a proud partner of the show. So I have a name for you,
okay,
and I'm interested, and I'm not even sure what the status is with his injury. He is a very controversial player. He's had his run-ins with Josh Allen. He's known to do some freaky shit in the locker room.
I'll pull up my tweet because I think I had one from a couple days ago that I think I know where you're going with this. That
Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins. I have no idea what his status is. I feel like we'll never get the true story of what happened. It sounds like he didn't take his rehab all too seriously.
Just the guy in the head, I believe.
He kissed the guy in the head and stuff like that. Like we've seen a couple of times where he pulled the reach around on Josh Allen. So some Miami Dolphins fans watching this are probably all too familiar. Thoughts on the guy, man? Thoughts? Do you know anything about his status? He's been a free agent for 11 weeks now. Is that a call you would hope?
I would assume something backtrack. I would assume that kissing someone on the head outside of something crazy HR related. I guess I did get filed to HR from what the story reads. Yeah. I would think that a team would have signed him. I think it's got to be a backdating or some sort of back to the initial grievance with his rehab. So okay. I would think there you go.
Where is it?
Go one up, go higher.
At Morgan Fox right here. You're excited about Morgan Fox, huh?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, you were right. Go down a little bit lower.
Down.
A little bit lower. Well, there's my Josh Allen data.
There's the JA-17, man. Play better, brother. Manning game. Oh, you cooking over here, man.
Joe Brady for the LSU data. I don't know. We missed it, but I had tweeted. I don't know where the Christian Wilkins. Maybe I just didn't see it when you scroll.
Maybe you just didn't see it, man. We could search real fast.
Christian. Yeah, you should try just search Christian or something.
Christian Wilkins. Let's see. Oh, it's time for
November
the Bills 11th.
Yeah, I don't know
Christian Wilkins a shot. Match him with Morgan Fox and give yourself some strong new defensive looks.
So ultimately, that's how I felt. They went and did. So on exactly 48 hours ago, I had that take that they should combo them both together. I think it would be an absolute versatile addition. I can't sit here and say maybe Josh Allen's like, get this guy out of here. I want nothing to do with him. And he probably would have that veto power, but ultimately maybe he doesn't. And so I want to win football games. And he's a strong, one of the best defensive tackles from Ed Oliver's draft class. So maybe Ed knows him. Maybe Ed can give some type of character witness. I don't know. But ultimately on a football perspective only, because I don't know the alleged things that happened there either.
Yeah.
From a football perspective, adding Fox at this stage, who's a 4 to 6 sack guy a year, that's pretty useful. And then you have Christian Wilkins, who can be a game wrecker. I kind of like what you're able to do with that to end the year. So I'm shocked he's not on a playoff roster. That's got to mean he's either hurt still or the HR issues are more serious in nature than we know.
Yeah, worst case scenario, just make him shower at home, right?
Yeah, like really, like
yeah, just make him, yeah, and just give him his own individual locker room. Just keep him away from players. Make sure he doesn't do any freaky stuff. Say that he does that to the other teams, to get in their head, whatever. Hey, it's football out there, man. Make it work.
Things happen at the bottom of a pile. Like, I don't, it's.
Yeah. But so this Morgan Fox guy, I'm not going to lie to you, very, very unfamiliar with this game. He came from the Rams, right? Okay. He was formerly on the Rams. Panthers as well. What was his story this season? Was he released from somebody?
Yeah, good question. So longtime Ram, similar to Hoyt, kind of played that in 2020, played that role, 6 sacks. Really coming off of 2020 into 2021 with the Panthers, you're signing him like a Michael Hoyt, like we did with Michael Hoyt. Like you were like trying to see if he could take the next step. Maybe he's going to be a consistent 5 to 10 sack guy a year. And Hoyt, in our world, Hoyt was working out, and then he had the Achilles. So that's what the Panthers did in 2021 when they signed him. Played okay that year, played versatile, was pretty productive, only got a sack and a half, but then went to the Chargers in 2022 through 2024 and racked up 18 and a half sacks in his 3 years there. So was super talented, playing all over the pitch, playing DTD and 5-7 technique. Pretty much basically the only difference is Hoyt can cover a tad bit if you need to pull him out in coverage. Other than that, Morgan Fox was basically very similar. There's really I know people are like the Panthers he played for the Panthers for one season. He's really a Ram. A Ram and a Charger are the 2 teams he really played at. So he definitely played with Bosa. I'm sure Bosa said, yeah, put this guy next to me. I think he could be super helpful. And I'm sure the Bills use Bosa to see. And then there's combination routes where they both look really good on together. Really good signing. He went and signed a pretty solid deal this free agency after that good tenure with the Chargers, and went to Atlanta. And
yeah, I saw that.
We don't really know what happened. He signed a $5 million, like a 2-year, $8 million deal, so it wasn't free. And they just randomly cut him. He's never been hurt. He's always played. He's played in every game of his career, basically. So we really don't know. A reporter actually asked, like, hey, why was Fox? Why did he, he's been a good player. Why did he get let go from the Falcons? And Sean McDermott said, you have to ask him. That was his response to that question. So we still don't really know, like, why would you have cut? That would have been like us cutting Hoyt in September, like right before cuts.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made a ton. Hoyt's younger, makes a little more money, but wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense. So we still don't really know. Like, maybe he did have a minor injury and he's been rehabbing it, but he's never been hurt in his career to this point. So there's another option for the Bills this week that they could call up if they do decide to only call up Gabe and not Cole. They could call up Fox or sign him off the practice squad as soon as he's ready. But he's the Michael Hoyt replacement, and I'm glad they got him. And unsure why someone at his level, we're not talking the world's best defensive end here or defensive tackle. You're talking like a Michael Hoyt, older Michael Hoyt level player. Not really sure why he would have been sitting, just like Wilkins. He had to have had an injury he was rehabbing. Nothing else really makes sense.
Yeah. That / maybe Atlanta felt really good with the depth that they had on the defense.
Yeah, I'm fine with them cutting him. I'm stupid.
Yeah.
But the more my question there is, things like that happen all the time. Like, okay, you're cut. Why wouldn't he's good enough to where instantly week 1, someone should have said, I know everyone has their roster they love. Maybe by week 2, week 3, I have no idea why he wouldn't have been on an active roster playing already. So that's my question. It's got to be some form of medium-term injury.
So especially with Joey Bosa out there playing with that damn club on his right
hand.
They
must have known. Yeah, they must have known an injury, and the Bills said, okay, the second he's ready, we're bringing him in. And it does look like that's what was done, especially with the D end injury specifically.
So have you heard anything about what is going on with Bosa? As far as his hand,
he's got that air cast on now. So yeah, he's fallen on his wrist a few too many times. I think some degenerative damage, but still played pretty efficiently. I think it's healing because they've got rid of the big cast. It's down to just like a soft brace that will probably see him in this weekend.
Okay, got it. It's a soft brace now. Okay,
full participant, like no issues. He's actually, the amount of snaps he's taking is impressive. Like everyone told me, like this, he couldn't do this at this stage in his career.
Yeah.
That part I am thoroughly impressed with. I thought we were getting like a little better, younger Von Miller. But ultimately we're getting a guy that has played like 70% of downs when they need him. So
Yeah,
that's been pretty. And you get AJ Epinesa back this week, Dan. So now you're getting back TJ Sanders, AJ Epinesa. You're getting back hopefully Bo's a little bit healthier. So things are getting a little bit better. Benford and Taron Johnson with Max Harrison. Now you're getting a little bit better. Shaq Thompson. Now you're getting a little bit better. So like you're talking about that defense now being fully close beside Ed Oliver and Michael Hoyt being very close to full go.
Yeah. So as far as matchups too, right? Like more than likely we're going to be seeing Emeka Egbuka and Tez Johnson on the outside.
Like Tez.
So are you assuming that Benford likely will be on Emeka for most of the game, or do you
70% rate when he's playing covering ones? And I mean, without Mike Evans, I guess you're gonna have to classify it as one. I would anticipate Benford's on him for sure. Benford's fast. Most people don't remember that Benford's like a 4.4 guy too.
Yeah, he is. And with Emeka Egbuka is not that fast. I don't want to say he's like a 4.5 guy, and he's not that physical. He
won't have any issues. It's not like he's going up against a 4.2 burner.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not very physical either. So I think that could actually be a pretty solid.
And then you have Max Harrison probably on Tez Johnson, rookie on rookie. So that's kind of what I would anticipate seeing in this game. And, Trey White if needed, but, you're going to have your starting nickel back. And I think Taron Johnson adds more to the game than you think, even though it feels like Cam Lewis has been covering well. But I think it's good to have him back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Terrell Bernard this year? So do you think that he's kind of been
he's favoring that ankle, man?
Yeah.
And I think that's the fundamental. He's playing through the ankle.
He hasn't looked the same,
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, I don't know why a lower ankle would have been taking so long to heal, but he relies on it with the way he plays. But what he does bring is his knowledge and putting people in the right position. And I do think the defense plays better, but I think you're going to see a lot of different looks here with him playing. He hasn't been himself lately.
Yeah.
So I think that will also start to approach to full health. You can't sit down your captain. He's a guy that knows the defense inside and out. I think you can, have guys like Shaq Thompson, Matt Milano, Dorian Williams, who can do specialist things with next to him as well.
Yeah, man.
But his play and film hasn't been ideal.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping that he can get healthy and make it happen. But all right. Let's go on ahead and let's dive into final score predictions and a hot take. All right. Buffalo Bills have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming into town. Who do you got in this one, Kev?
I'm just never going to predict back-to-back losses. I'm going to stick with it until they really are in deep trouble. I think that they're better. They're at home. I know it doesn't overly matter, but they're 60-40 favorites, which then amounts to a 5.5 point spread. I'm going to stick to the numbers. I'm going 31-23 Buffalo in this game. And my hot take is Josh Allen is going to take the profit, and you're going to see a gluttonous amount of receivers get active in this game. So you're going to see Dawson Knox. You're going to see a nice picture of other players that are going to be involved in this game. And James Cook in the passing game, something that people have been wanting. We saw it last week, started a little bit. I think you're going to see some nice running back plays. He's going to spread the ball around the yard, and he's going to take what he's given against a zone-heavy team. So I guess that's not an overly hot take, but I think the Bills are going to get after Baker for 4 sacks this week.
Well, it's something we need. It's something we need indeed. I don't have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers scoring over 20. Maybe that's a hot take in and of itself.
Yeah, no, I would say that is.
Yeah. So I think that this defense is going to have all of the answers for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers squad right now. I really, really do. With Baker's been playing through an injury, from what I understand, he hasn't really been sort of taking off in rushing opportunities. He has not had a rushing yard, I believe, in 3 games. Last time I checked, he's favoring something, so he's staying in the pocket. Give me Buffalo. So I'll stick with yours, 31, but give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 17. And so I think that it's going to be one of those. I think home field advantage.
You got a touchdown less than me, essentially.
Yeah. So I think home field advantage is real. like, I know the Patriots beat us, but we're still a very good home team. And I just think that Tampa Bay is, while it's a good team when healthy, they're not healthy. And even if they decide to roll out Bucky Irving in a damn wheelchair, I think that would largely be a distraction, right? Same thing if, for example, Chris Godwin were to go out as well. So I think they are who they are. A hot take. I do think Mecole Hardman is elevated, and I do think that he busts open at least one run that gets us to our 50-yard line starting field position.
A return.
Best kick return we've seen all season. We are bad in special teams. We haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, specific return game. Yeah, their coverage actually has been good. But
in special teams?
Yeah. So it brings up their overall score, but yeah, their own returns have been poor.
Yeah. With that, like with Codrington, and just experimenting.
I guess I'll take decent coverage and bad returns than like some crazy.
I suppose you're right. Yeah.
The return game has been poor. You're 100%.
Yeah. And so I have Mecole Hardman running one to at least the 50. All right. Some solid starting field position for this Buffalo Bills offense.
And now they're projecting possible rain, snow, 30, 35 degrees. I think that benefits the Bills. I don't always say that, but the one good thing on why let me leave it here, on why they built this offense is for elements and late in the year. Now, it hasn't been fun when it's nice out and we think that it's boring, but for games like the 49ers last year and for games like this, where your short passing game is predicated on your short passing game, you're able to run the ball, you have a good O-line, you're used to the elements. This is the type of situation, whether it's here, whether it's later when they play the Bengals or Steelers, or whether it's at some point, in New England, I think it's predicated. The Bills have a better running game than all these teams, and they have a great short passing game. Even if we hate it, it's still great. So ultimately, I'm not saying it's going to be that kind of game, but if it was, benefits the Bills. It definitely benefits the Bills to a team that doesn't play under 50 degrees ever. So I think twice, like I said, twice 2 outdoor games is what I read. So I think that I don't always root for elements, especially against certain teams, but when it comes to like Miami and Tampa and a couple of other, to me, finesse teams, I think it matters.
Damn, man.
Besides Baker, I don't think anybody's used to the elements.
No, not at all. So I'd say like 90% of the NFL is not, because half of them are from Florida.
Baker has he played in Cleveland.
Yeah.
But other than that.
Yeah, he played in Cleveland. He was doing his thing. But folks, that's going to have to do it. Thank you so much for another edition of the Bills Roundtable, live Monday through Thursday. The full crew will be back on Monday reacting to everything we witnessed in Buffalo against Tampa Bay. Do us a favor, hit that thumbs up sign. I know a lot of you are probably tapping in from the recorded version of this show. Highly recommend when you subscribe, you turn on those bell notifications so that you could be a part of our live chat community next time, man. We love having you here. Kev, are there any final words you would like to say to the audience before we set them up?
Just, follow along. The sky isn't falling is the one thing I want to leave everybody with. They're 6-3. They've had way worse records. Josh Allen himself said he's had worse teams. He said that. He doesn't generally say things like that. He has said they've been in worse position. So ultimately, like, there's a lot of good things that come out of this. The Dolphins game stunk. It was not one we're used to seeing. But ultimately, it is just one 60-minute football game. You get back on track with back-to-back wins against Tampa and Houston, and all of a sudden, things are really interesting back toward it, even for that 1 seed. So, I think they get a get right game. And Sean McDermott has some of his best coaching. That's my hottest take that I'm going to leave you with. I think he has a good coached game this week against Tampa Bay.
Sean McDermott, you're up, folks. We appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you next time.